Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy here, also known as ETCG1 on this here channel, because I got my special hat on. Here on ETCG1 we talk about stuff. We don't necessarily do repair videos, but I will post a link in the description to my Eric the Car Guy channel. You can click on that, go there and watch all the repair videos you like. However, if you wish to stick around and join in the conversation, welcome. I'm happy to have you. For today's topic, my trip to Charlotte, North Carolina. I have special thanks to the people at Valvoline for having me out to their press release of their reinvention project. Well, actually, by the time you see this video, the contest is probably going to be over. One of the reasons I'm waiting to put this video out is because I'm currently under embargo and I'm not allowed to talk about the things that I saw. Ooh, it's kind of cool and ultra secretive. Reason being is I was actually able to see and ride in one of the trucks before the public even knew what those trucks were. So I was there during the time when actually Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr. came out for the unveiling of those cars, and they made a video about it. If that's released at this time, there'll be a link in the description for it. If not, I will eventually put it there. But I was there for that video shoot, and that's basically why we went. It was all, I was there as part of the press that were there, and I was actually kind of confused of why they invited me, because it was kind of a press thing, but it was kind of one of those opportunities where you don't really want to say no. And they were cool with me just going there and hanging out and getting to know them better, and also meeting all the great people there. I had a great time, and thank you very much, Valvoline, once again. And also thanks to the people at Hendrick Motorsports. That place it's beyond comprehension. It's unimaginable. What happens there. It's magic. It's like in some places like Candyland, if you will. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my experiences there in this video. Some of the stuff I'll be able to share with you and show to you, but some of the places that I'm going to tell you about, I was not allowed to take any photographs or any video of, so we'll just have to go by the word of mouth type of thing. But let's start with day one. We went out to Hendrick Motorsports, and we had the engine building contest, and I believe there's also a video that's released on that, and there will either be a link in the description or something, but I can share some of my footage with you. They paired us off into two teams. One was Team Jimmy and one was Team Dale, and the people from Hendrick, each team had two people from Hendrick helping us out, and we assembled, I believe it was called an R06 NASCAR engine in a very short period of time. We split up into teams of two. Our larger team split up into teams of two. So there were two of us at a time going in, and we would complete a certain step in the process of the assembly of the engine, and then stop the clock, and the next team would come in and complete their portion of the assembly, and on until the thing was assembled, and we fired it up and ran it right there on the stand, which was, that's kind of cool, honestly. Hearing one of those things fire up with open headers, yeah. If you're a car guy or girl, you know what I'm talking about. You get it. Unfortunately, Team Jimmy lost. Wah, wah, wah. It was still a great time. We started out with a commanding lead. Myself and Daniel Gray from MPG-O-Matic were on our two-man team, and we actually, I think, ended up with like a minute lead when we were done, and our job was to install the crankshaft. So we got that in, knocked it out, time, and everything was called, and there we went. But slowly that lead was eroded over the rest of the competition. However, we assembled an engine. Yeah, okay, it had the camshaft in it, but we crank, pistons, all the little pieces that go together to the point where the thing could actually run in about 41 minutes. So I don't think that that's too bad. And we were only like 30 or 40 seconds off from the other team anyway. But congratulations to Team Dale for winning that competition. Like I said, we had a great time, and I got this cool trophy for it, which is kind of neat. And this is one of the pistons that they manufacture there. In fact, I'll talk a little bit more about these, but I'm pretty sure I know where this came from, and it was just repurposed for this. But that's what we got for that engine building competition. Then we went over to the Candyland part of the whole thing. It was a building housing a large majority, not the entire, but a large majority of Rick Hendrick's personal car collection. And I don't know if you know anything about Rick Hendrick, and honestly, I didn't know a whole lot about him until I went on this trip. But now that I have, he's a pretty interesting guy. Obviously fairly driven. I mean, he's got 4 drivers, 4 racing teams that he builds cars for, and everything else, and they are let's see, Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr., and Jimmy Johnson. So there's all four of those all four of those teams they build cars for and everything. So it's a pretty impressive operation. But off to the side, there's a separate building, about 55,000 square feet, full of 200 of Mr. Hendrick's cars from his personal collection. I'm told there's another 150 off-site, although we did not see those. Fortunately, in the recent past, season finale of Americana on Velocity had some footage of the car collection that I saw, and if you get a chance, check it out. I'll see if I can find a link, whatever, and point you to it. And I'm glad that show is out there, because a lot of the things I'm talking about, that there is footage from that television show. So if you did get a chance to see that one, honestly, I thought it was a little boring. I mean, just a bunch of guys sitting around talking about Corvettes and the awesomeness of Corvettes. Yeah, okay, Corvettes are cool. But, and some of you may hate me for saying this, but the only people I see driving Corvettes have gray hair. Just about all of them. Corvette does not seem to be a young man's car. And that's okay, I'm not faulting that. I mean, come on, you know, I guess you have to wait that long to be able to afford one. Come on, they're like what, 70, 80 grand now? Although the new Stingrays, I've got to say, are probably, in my opinion, the best looking Corvette in a very long time. So I am excited about that. Plus it performs well, so maybe America is actually building a car again. That being said, when we first walked into the receiving area, reception area of this building that I'm talking about, there were 4 Corvettes that were there. In fact, all 4 of those Corvettes were shown in that Velocity program that I talked about. And they were VIN numbers 1 and 2 of this 2014 Stingray. And he had both convertible and hardtop. So the hardtops, you could look at the VIN, 0001 and 0002. So the first 2 production vets, that's kind of impressive. And then the first 2 convertibles, they weren't VIN 1 and 2 as far as convertibles were concerned. Apparently the way they did those was they took hardtops, cut those hardtops off, and then added the convertible top after the fact. So that's the reason why those didn't have those matching VIN numbers, but they were the first production Corvette convertibles, Stingray convertibles that they put out. Impressive machine. So he's got those just in the receiving area, along with a giant trophy sitting in the middle there that there's a story to also, but I don't want to make this video too long. And then we walked into the conference room, which is also featured in this same program, which has the chassis, engine, transmission, exhaust from the very first Corvette that he bought, which I believe was in 1963. It was fuel injected engine, and it's just the chassis, no body or anything. That is the conference table. There was a steel frame built around this chassis and then a glass top put over the top of the whole thing. So there's an actual working Corvette chassis, suspension, brakes, everything. And not kidding, all it needs is a body put onto it and some wheels. And you got a running and driving car, but that's the conference room and the conference table. Yeah, Mr. Hendrick can be a bit eccentric about his Corvettes, it seems. And then after we left that, and that's, like I said, that's just the conference table. Then after we left that, we went out into the actual area where all the cars were. And the only thing I can compare it to is like that scene in the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where Gene Wilder opens up the doors and there's like the chocolate river and all the candy and trees and everything that's in there. It's just candy as far as the eye can see. That same impression, but with cars. And that's just the way it felt. And it's not just a big warehouse full of cars that are just sitting there all parked next to each other. No, there's an entire scene built around this place. And you walk in, there's like a sort of a Dairy Queen diner type setup. There's a full service station, you know, with a garage and all that kind of thing. There's Mr. Hendrick's first car that he worked on and had. And just 57 Chevys. Yeah, there were a few of those and a few fuel-injected versions of that. You know, these were all not only beautiful cars and looked like they just rolled out of the factory. I mean, they were either restored to the 9s or they were maybe bought that way. I'm not sure, but either way, it's significant things of like 63 Impala with a 409, aluminum block 427s. And Camaros, and of course lots and lots of Corvettes. In fact, I think he's got I think they said he has 67 Corvettes, which is, I believe, one of his favorite model years. 67 Corvettes in every color that they were available in 67. All with 427 engines in them, in both convertible and hardtop. So one of each, of convertible and hardtop, of every factory color they made in 1967, all with big block 427s. Yeah, and that's just part of the collection. Like I said, there were Camaros going from like 67 to 72-ish that were all significant and cool, and I always liked the Camaro myself, especially the 69 Camaro was one of my favorite cars. And seeing just a bunch of them sitting there, both convertibles and hardtop, it was kind of sick in a way. In a way, it felt kind of wrong. It's just, the collection was beyond comprehension. And a whole lot of GMs, but there were a couple of non-GMs in there. One of them, and this was a surprise, a Lexus LFA. Yeah, seriously, a Lexus LFA in this collection. Behind two Ferrari 458s, next to a Mercedes V12 AMG. You know, and these were just sort of thrown in with the collection. Then there's like all these race cars and things in one space that were like the most valuable cars in the collection, what have you. And there were some other music-related items. But if you can, watch that program on Velocity. And just, honest, between you and me, just watch the first part, because it gets kind of boring, if I'm honest. It's cool, you know, about the history of the Corvette and everything, but I was just geeking on it because I kept looking at that room. And there was also a couple of music videos that were also filmed in this place, at this car collection, and I was just being able to transport myself back to that moment. I've never in my life seen a collection like that. I've been to a lot of car shows, been going since I was a wee little lad, but I've never seen anything like this, ever, especially in one man's possession. So from there, we actually went and toured some of the racing facility. Also could not take pictures. It was another area that was up on the hill, and we went quickly through both of them, but mostly we focused on the Dale and Jimmy building. They're split up into two separate buildings. Like Jeff Gordon and Kelsey Kane have their own building with their stuff being built, and then both Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson have their stuff being built elsewhere. And I can't say that I'm necessarily a NASCAR fan. I never really got into it. In fact, one of the first races I watched in its entirety was Vegas, the day I got there. And to be honest, I kind of took a nap during the middle of it and then woke up more towards the end. It's not that, you know, I don't like it or anything, but I didn't have any attachment to it until now. Now I see all the people that are involved behind building those cars, which turned out to be about $500,000 a piece just for one car. And they bring two to each race. They bring a couple engines also. But there are a lot of very skilled, very talented people that are behind those drivers that build those cars, that keep those cars running, the pit crews. They had a place on site at Hendrick where the pit crew they were just working out, and that they were required to have, you know, they were required to maintain a certain level of physical fitness in order to keep their jobs. They were training hard, and they were not little boys either. They were serious, and they had an area out back to where they could drive one of the actual NASCARs up to, and they would practice. Well, practice makes perfect, as they say, and it's something like that where every split second counts. You got to have your people in top form. But the racing facility is like nothing I've ever seen. One of the rooms we walked into was probably about 2,000 square feet of just CNC machines, all making stuff like this. I talked about the pistons. They make their own pistons on site. They got blocks that are shipped in from Chevrolet, but they bear no resemblance to the finished product coming out the other side. They're heavily machined from that point to meet their specifications before they leave. And as I said, they manufacture their own pistons, and I think these are leftovers. Apparently they swap out the pistons every other race. So every other race they swap out a set of pistons, and I believe renew the valve train and everything else. So they want to keep those engines running tip-top. But everything has a number. In fact, there's numbers on the bottom of this piston here that tell who made it, who had their hands on it, and everything else. It's all. So in other words, if something happens during a race and a part breaks, they know who's responsible. They will find you. But if they win races, they've got a couple of interesting traditions at Hendrick. One is the driver gets to ring a bell for the victory. And then also everybody in the entire organization gets like a special ring for that win. So they really reward success in a big way. and the entire company benefits as a result of a win or something like that. So it leaves them it leaves you with a place to where all the employees have a vested interest in everything that's happening, and nobody there seemed like a slacker or any of that stuff. All these people seem like top notch. Everything Hendrick has going on for him, I can say this, is all top notch. He's not playing around at all. He seems like he's a businessman that knows what he's doing, knows what he wants, and knows how to keep it going. So my hat's off to him for him and his business acumen, because he started out with basically nothing and now owns like 150 dealerships, 4 race teams, and you know, that massive car collection we talked about. So he's kind of an important guy. But that being said, that was just a fantastic experience walking around that whole facility. There were, like I said, several buildings, and one building was where they started out. It was just a row of, I think it was something like 3,000 square feet, which is about the size of what I have here, that he started building things out of, and Days of Thunder. In fact, the car from Days of Thunder that Tom Cruise drove is actually in that car collection that I spoke of, and in the front facade he's got a dealership. I think it was called King Chevrolet or something like that. His first dealership, they had a mock-up of that in the collection, and inside the front showroom you could see through the glass that car from Days of Thunder. Oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you, the spark plug. This spark plug really is out of Dale Jr.'s car. While we were there, our tour guide allowed us, well, they had a bag of these because they change these out every race, but they had a bag of these and they handed them out and asked if we wanted them. I said, heck yeah, I'll take one. So this spark plug is out of his race car. But when I posted a picture of this on my social networking sites, a lot of you commented, where's the electrode? Well, that's not the type of spark plug this is. These are specially designed to work in those engines. You know, in fact, I'm told they're about $100 a piece, and I believe that end there is gold. As far as them being Bosch, you know, big deal. They're Bosch. They chose them for a reason. Like I said, they don't do anything there without doing a lot of research and knowing exactly what they're getting into. I can say that with every degree of certainty. But first day, freaking awesome. I mean, I learned so much about NASCAR. I learned so much about what goes into it. I never really took it seriously, or any form of racing like that. I always loved machines, but I never really got into that racing aspect of things. But now, after seeing all this and seeing all those people that are involved, I'm kind of sold. So the next day we went to the ZMAX Dragway, which was way cool, and that's where the video shoot was, and that's where Dale and Jimmy both showed up for that video shoot, and also they had a brief interview period that we had with them that was kind of cool. I didn't get a chance to meet them directly. Honestly, it's hard to say whether I was really intimidated by them or I just felt out of place, because like I said, I'm a guy that makes repair videos on the internet, and all these other people were from the automotive press. So it was, you know, I didn't want to me that was their territory, and I didn't want to step into it or you know, step on their toes or any of that kind of stuff. So I was a little standoffish about that part of it, but it was interesting, and I did get some good photographs of them while they were there. But before they showed up, they took us for a ride in those trucks, and they had behind the grandstand they had like a little road course set up with cones and everything in a parking lot, and we run around there. And also that first day we got a chance to see the unveiling of those trucks, but actually getting to see them out and driving the next day and riding in them was really cool. I believe there's also video footage of that. Any links I'll try to put in the description for you. The one thing I will say about both trucks is they were so low and the wheels were so wide when they cornered, those wheels were definitely rubbing the inner fender wells.
Oh. Okay, lunchtime.
But apparently that was the first shakedown of those things that they had, and considering that they put them together in a month, I'm impressed with the work that people at Hendrick do. There are some talented individuals there, and the stuff that they're able to put together. They really know their stuff. Obviously they wouldn't be there otherwise, but still, it's impressive to see. It's impressive to see people that are that good at their craft. One of the trucks did have a problem, minor problem. You can't do that amount of work without having something happen. Well, one of the trucks, it didn't have a heater in it, so they put rubber plugs on the outlets of the water pump for the heater, and one of those blew off and puked coolant all over the place. Kind of sucked. Easy fix though, and considering the modifications they had to do in that truck to make it work, one minor incident like that the first time they take it out and beat the crap out of it, come on, I think that's pretty good. Anybody that's ever built a car knows that's impressive. But we got a chance to ride around in them, then Jimmy and Dale showed up and did their thing and shot that video, and we had lunch there, which was really cool, and then I flew home. But I wanted to share that experience with you here today because, well, you know, I got a chance to go and it was cool. I also wanted to thank Valvoline and Hendrick Motorsports because everybody there was awesome. Just awesome. They were just great people. So I hope you've enjoyed me recounting my tale of my trip to Charlotte, North Carolina. It was a great city, beautiful city. I love that place. It's actually really nice, especially in the early spring. It's my first taste of warm weather this year. Oh, we needed it. But anyway, let's wrap this up. Hey, if you have automotive questions, I would ask that you head over to ericthecarguy.com. Welcome video there to tell you about all the amazing features we have to help you with those automotive issues, should you have them. If you wish to connect with me socially, I can be found on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, and I close each of my videos with be safe, have fun, and of course, stay dirty. I'll see you next time.